Hello, welcome back to the channel. As you may gather from my attire, it is significantly chilly today. We've gone from being sort of 15 degrees and being able to paint to being 5 degrees with wind chills. Honestly, that wind is bitter. Anyway, today we're going to start putting suspension-y parts on the car. Exciting moments! Oh dear! Oh, fire! You don't need a special tool, you need a special tin. It's alive! Okay, so rather than make you sit through all of the stuff of me talking about what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to fit the top arms, and I'm going to try and put the cones in without having to use a cone compressor, which I will now add that you cannot do when they're red dot cones. I have done in the past with standard cones, especially worn ones, but with red dots you cannot do. So skip all of that. I'm going to just let this zoom through until it gets to the point where I realise I've made a mistake. I've cocked up quite spectacularly, and not with the suspension. Yes, I've got to use a cone compressor to do this. I need a minute. Give me a minute. There's me rattling on about the importance of getting stuff done in the right order, because obviously you've got to get things in place because they're in the way of other things. And I've not got something in place before I put the subframe in. Although, the more I've thought about it, it's been a good half hour and a cup of tea. The more I've sort of stared and thought about this, the more I think I needed to get the subframe in and get it on its wheels, but maybe not with the suspension fully built, because you saw me stop. I mean, I've watched the video back and you saw me stop and touch on something. I'll show you what that is. Here on my car, because it has a late model floor in it, is the pins that hold the plate on, where the fuel lines go. Now, that plate has brackets associated with it. They have pins that go all the way under the cuff. I can find one under here. They've got, oh, that's part of the, we're over further. There we are. They've got these, one there. There's another one underneath this. They go all the way to the back of the car. Now, my fuel lines were getting in the way, the original ones, and I'm changing them anyway because they were only small. I bent them out of the way, really good and proper. I need to fit new fuel lines because this car's going to run injection. These are the perfect thing to have to run fuel injection. But in order to fit them all the way to the back, I've got to take the rear subframe out, because the fuel lines go up here in between the heel board and the front of the rear subframe. So the rear subframe has to come out. Yes, I know it's a little bit untidy on here, and I will get to that possibly sooner than I was expecting, actually. Yes, so to run the new fuel lines from the boot down under the car all the way to the front and up, the rear subframe needs to be out, because obviously I have to go over it. But also, they come up here, and the last fixing point is there. I can't get the bracket on there that's going to hold that and stop it from rattling against the bodywork. So what I've got to do is get the front wheels on the car, drop it down. I mean, or I've got to jack up the back and take it off, but I'm out of stands and I don't really want to have the thing off the ground, all four wheels. I'd rather have it at least partially supported by something. So I've got to drop the rear subframe, so on its wheels, rear subframe out the way, fuel lines in, clip them in place, unravel them to a point, rear subframe back in, with a coil of fuel pipe on the floor, jack the front up, front subframe out, put the fuel pipes permanently into place, or where at least I want them to be, and then I can put the front subframe back in again. Then I can build up my suspension. But in order to do that, I've kind of got to have wheels on the front to drop it down and put then the axle stands at the back. I could buy more axle stands, yes, granted, but yeah, having it just floating here is not great. And I'd rather, if I'm going to be working on the back, I'd rather have the car the other way round and have, you know, the garage and the tools at the close end of things rather than working in a little gap behind the car. It gives me a chance to have a tidy up under here and a rearrange, because I definitely need to do that. So I'm going to put the front suspension in temporarily, and I'm not going to use the cones and the high-lows. I'm going to use the bump stop, just as a means of, you know, top and bottom arms, tie rods in place, steering on, so I can push it back forward and steer it. It'll be at sort of a degree of ride height then as well, because it would look cool to see that. So then I can push the car out, spin it round, push the car back, and then deal with the back end of the car, and then probably do the front subframe bit, because it's not too big a deal dropping the front subframe out when it's not completely bare but mostly bare. I'll do that at that end. Does that make sense? So yes, despite a cock up, I do still need to do this. I should add, the reason I bent those pipes out of the way is visible here. So I painted my front subframe, and then at some point I put it in the hole because I had to size things up. And those fuel pipes have been hanging loose under the car for ages, and they got caught with the flapping of the wind we've had, and they've chipped all of this paint along here. And some bits on the side and little bits here and stuff. So I've got to touch that up. I'm aware of that. I'm going to sand it back, and I can just paint this little section here. I'm not too worried about that at the moment, but yeah, that was why they got disgruntledly bent out of the way. But yeah, either way, they weren't usable. They're not big enough. Being carb lines, there's a breather, and the other one is only a 1/4 inch pipe, and I want 5/16 pipes on this. So I've not lost out. I've just got myself excited and jumped ahead and started a job that I didn't need to start. Right, okay, let's get the top arms in and the bump stops in, get this thing on its wheels at the front, and I might even be able to move it in this video. You'll be able to see what it's going to look like at ride height. So it's still exciting, just not the excitement I was hoping for. Okay, so being as the focus has now shifted from getting everything in place, I'm just going to put the top arms in.
When your time comes, don't postpone it. When others doubt it out, you don't condone it. Truth be told, yourself is your toughest opponent. When your moment comes,
Lower suspension arm next, also in tally with the tie bar. Now you'll see these are adjustable ones. What have I adjusted them to? Well, I laid them up against, I've got a set of standard ones, standard tie bars and standard bottom arms. I set it to the standard length, and then I did 4 full revolutions. So there's a few threads out there. So I'll be running a bit of neggy camber, not a huge amount, but a bit, as if the car is sitting here. It's obviously going to get a full setup later down the line. That's for another day. So I've locked them off. They're ready to go. As for the tie rods, again, I picked a tie rod and I set both of these same length as a standard one, and then a little bit shorter. I don't want to go crazy on caster. This car, on its previous suspension setup, I ran 3 degrees of static camber and 8 degrees of caster at 20 degrees turn in. And in the dry, dear God, the grip you got out of those 10s was something else. And don't get me wrong, they are, if you can see them here, I had these, the AO32s. Brilliant tyre in the dry. And obviously they were canted over at quite an angle. In the wet, that's not so great. So it was a dry weather car, not a wet weather car. I'm not going to go that extreme this time. I'm aiming for 2 degrees of static and probably 3.5, 4 degrees of caster, maybe, but I really don't want to cut the standard arches. I want to keep the standard arch profile as best I can. So I might be sticking with a more, with less, maybe 3 degrees of caster. We'll see how it rolls. We're going to worry about that in a future video, way further down the line when the car's on the road. For now, that is my standard way of setting it. Standard plus 4 spins and a little tiny bit shorter than standard. Let's go back to time lapse. I'll get the bottom arm in, the tie rod in, the swivel hub on, the steering arm connected, and then a tyre on. And then chances are I will do just a long time lapse here where I repeat the process on the other side, because you don't really want to hear me waffle twice, do you? Okay, let's hit the button.
Never let go, stand tall and hold tight. Overcoming obstacles is the objective in life. Doubters all the night, and unto them you shine bright. Cause inside your head, on goes the light. Ignite. Play the intuition upon the stars in the night that glisten. To you they listen, to be you instead of wishing. When your time comes, don't postpone it. When others doubt and out, you don't condone it. Truth be told, yourself is your toughest opponent. When your moment comes, grab hold and own it. When your time comes, don't postpone it. When others doubt and out, you don't condone it. Truth be told, yourself is your toughest opponent. When your moment comes, grab hold and own it. Never let go, stand tall and hold tight. Overcoming obstacles is the objective in life. Never let go, stand tall and hold tight. Overcoming obstacles is the objective in life. Doubters all the night, and unto them you shine bright. Cause inside your head, on goes the light. Doubters all the night, and unto them you shine bright. Cause inside your head, on goes the light. Doubters all the night, and unto them you shine bright. Cause inside your head, on goes the light. Ignite. Play the intuition upon the stars in the night that glisten. To you they listen, to be you instead of wishing. Ignite. Play the intuition upon the stars in the night that glisten. To you they listen, to be you instead of wishing. Ignite. Play the intuition upon the...
Okay, so that's actually gone together quite nicely, and as you can see, I put the front on like so. Now anyone that's done a long-term mini project before and has had the car sitting up on stands, you will have experienced what I experience. It's not unique to me. This is, a lot of people do this, and you drag it down on the floor and you sort of like get the jack out and you stand up and you think, good God, it's small. Well, I must have forgotten something. It's really low down. You've just got used to it being high at the height of a normal car. It's halfway up my thigh. It's tiny. But look at it. There we go. The ride height is more or less where I want it to be, to be honest. I might bring it up just a little bit. Obviously, I want to make sure that I've got a decent amount of suspension. I didn't run it low last time because, I'll be honest, handled better when it was up a bit higher. So, yeah, I'm really quite pleased. I mean, there's enough. When you look at the angle of a caster, the more caster you give, the further you pull the bottom arm towards the front of the car. And so when you see race cars with huge cutouts here, or when you've got wheels with a really wide offset, you do have to run like a cutout arch. So with the sports packs, as soon as you space it out, your angle of rotation of the wheel goes into here, whereas with these are an ET16, is it? They do say on them. Yeah, an ET16. So I mean, a 13 would be even further in, so 16 is literally, you can almost get away with no arches. I was running standard plastics because literally legal. Cheeky but legal. The tyre pokes out just perfectly beyond the standard plastic arch. So right, I've now got to do a bit of tracking adjustment. As you, I don't know if you can see in the camera here, but I've got a degree of towing. I did check it and adjust it before I dropped it, 'cause it was miles off. But now I think I've got to adjust it a little further, because I'm most definitely heavily toe in, and I want to make this just roll around nicely. But God, it's good seeing that down there. It's good seeing it with a wheel on. I know there's no cones in there, and it's only half a job, but yeah, just forget how low to the ground a Mini really is. Or I did anyway. You know what, this is probably a really good time to end the video. Not the video I was expecting. Bit of a cock up. So yeah, next time the car's going to go out, round, back, and the back's going to go up, and the rear subframe's got to come out. Marvellous. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.